Marcus Rashford's dream is to actually join Barcelona. Rodrygo is seen as an ideal fit. Mikel Arteta is a big fan. Gabriel Martinelli could potentially leave. Eze wants Arsenal. Arsenal want Eze, so I'm expecting this deal to potentially advance in the next days and hours. Victor Gyökeres would welcome a move to Arsenal over Manchester United.
Hello, I'm Angelina Kelly and welcome to The Window, talkSPORT's daily video transfer update and your go-to guide for all of the biggest football moves. Coming up, we will be chatting all things Arsenal, including if Real Madrid's Rodrygo could be heading to the Emirates, the latest on Jadon Sancho's future, plus so much more. And joining me today is football journalist Sam C. So Sam, first up, Arsenal are still pursuing Real Madrid's Rodrygo. He's barely played in the Club World Cup this summer under new manager Xabi Alonso. There are also reports that the pair have had conversations and there are no guarantees that he will be a starter in the new season. So what are the chances of him moving on?
So Arsenal are waiting to hear from Real Madrid what their stance is on Rodrygo. Now, looking at the outside from a fan and a transfer perspective, and you see Rodrygo's had limited minutes in the Club World Cup, you would assume that he is not in the new manager's plans to continue. But Arsenal have not, as of today, had a 100% confirmation on that, and therefore Rodrygo's future is still wide open. Rodrygo is seen as an ideal fit to Mikel Arteta's process, the thing he is building at Arsenal. Mikel Arteta is a big fan of Rodrygo, so it's one to watch as the window continues.
Meanwhile, is there an update on Eberechi Eze making the move from Crystal Palace to Arsenal?
Eze to Arsenal is a story that could advance in the next hours. Eze is open to the move to Arsenal. Eze would welcome that move to Arsenal. Arsenal are talking to Crystal Palace to see how and if they were to trigger potentially maybe a release clause. Would they pay under it? Would they pay it in installments? But Eze wants Arsenal. Arsenal want Eze, so I'm expecting this deal to potentially advance in the next days and hours.
Eze and Rodrygo, I think, would make Arsenal fans very happy indeed, I must say. With these players linked to the club, I have to ask, where does it leave someone like Gabriel Martinelli? There have been rumours linking him to Bayern Munich and Saudi Arabia, so could we see him exit the club?
So I heard actually right at the beginning, just before the transfer window opened, that Gabriel Martinelli could leave Arsenal. But I didn't run with the story because of the fact that Arsenal didn't have so many attacking players, so it would not have made sense at that current moment for Gabriel Martinelli to leave Arsenal. Now, Arsenal are trying to close deals for Rodrygo, a striker target, and Eze. Therefore, if this all happens and this all goes to plan what Arsenal want, then Gabriel Martinelli could potentially leave. Martinelli has interest from overseas. He also has long-standing interest from Saudi Arabian clubs. Saudi Arabian clubs are keen on Martinelli. So if Arsenal were to say, yes, Martinelli's for sale, then he would not struggle to find a move.
Yeah, I mean, Martinelli scored 15 league goals in the 2022-23 season. Since then, hasn't got into double figures for Arsenal in the Premier League. Maybe they feel like his development hasn't gone how they expected. But in terms of a striker for Arsenal, according to talkSPORT, Victor Gyökeres has already told friends and family he thinks he's moving to Arsenal. Does this mean that the trail has gone cold on their pursuit of Benjamin Cesco? It seems like there's been no movement on that in recent weeks.
Sure, so Arsenal and Cesco is a story that has been ongoing for months. My sources told me in the January transfer window, Arsenal were actually looking at a potential deal for Cesco, but that deal actually did not happen. But the interest was real, and Arsenal held those conversations in January, and they understood from those conversations that, yes, Cesco would be open to a move. Now, it's interesting that we talk about Victor Gyökeres as well, because how the new sporting director, Andrea Berta, works is that he tries to advance on numerous deals, and then when they're at the advanced stage, he'll then pick what player he actually wants to sign. So when Arsenal continue to talk to Benjamin Cesco's camp and they continue to talk to Victor Gyökeres' camp, now it's interesting because maybe Mikel Arteta would prefer Cesco to Gyökeres, or Andrea Berta would prefer Gyökeres to Cesco. So it remains to be seen which striker target Arsenal go for. But yes, Victor Gyökeres would welcome a move to Arsenal over Manchester United.
Manchester United fans will be gutted to hear that. I think the link with Ruben Amorim and a possible reunion had them thinking they'd get Gyökeres. But talking about Man United, the Jadon Sancho saga continues with them. The club reportedly want £25 million for the player. Juventus is still interested. He refused to take a pay cut at Chelsea, but reportedly is now open to doing so. Do you think it's because he realises perhaps not as many clubs are coming in for him as expected?
So my Chelsea sources actually told me that Jadon Sancho wanted to remain a Chelsea player. But Chelsea and Manchester United and Chelsea and Jadon Sancho, none of them could come to an agreement that could convince the player to stay. Therefore, Chelsea paid that £5 million fare and penalty fare, and they sent him back to Manchester United. Now, Jadon has interest from numerous overseas clubs, most recently in recent days, Juventus. Juventus would not be able to afford the full wage of Jadon Sancho, but they would be able to afford the £25 million package. Now, if they enter concrete negotiations with Manchester United and explore the project and tell Jadon exactly what they want, then potentially Sancho could take that pay cut. But Juventus' interest in Sancho is strong and there's a good relationship there.
The pace of Serie A might suit Jadon Sancho a little bit better, I guess. A common criticism of him at United was maybe he didn't really have the speed or athleticism to be a match winner in the Premier League. But someone who does have that speed and sharpness is Ollie Watkins. The rumours of United having a genuine interest in him continue. Do you think he would be a good fit at Old Trafford?
Ollie Watkins is subject of interest by Manchester United and Arsenal. Now, Manchester United continue to discuss the possibility of Ollie Watkins joining the club. Watkins' preference between Manchester United and Arsenal is not yet public. However, he is both subject to interest from both clubs. Now, Arsenal have reportedly told Watkins, wait for us, we are coming if we can't strike an agreement for Gyökeres or Cesco. But does Ollie Watkins want to be third choice? I don't think so. If Ollie Watkins would come in to then Manchester United and be first choice to replace a potential outgoing for Rasmus Hyland, then that would suit more to Ollie Watkins, I would think.
And what do you think this will mean for Rasmus Hyland?
So Rasmus Hyland is subject to interest, concrete interest, by Inter Milan. Inter Milan have been exploring the possibility of Hyland even before he signed for Manchester United. So there's long-standing interest from Inter Milan for Rasmus Hyland. Now, Rasmus Hyland is settled at Manchester United and he is content at Manchester United, and he would not be upset if he did not move away from Manchester United, Rasmus Hyland. But if the chance came to play for Inter Milan and he was going to play week in, week out in a league that is potentially seen by footballers as an easier league than the Premier League, I'm sure that Rasmus would welcome that move to Inter Milan. They're discussing personal terms to see if the transfer was to happen, would there be any issues.
Meanwhile, Rashford is now being linked to Barcelona and Bayern Munich. Which one do you think would be a better fit?
So Marcus Rashford's dream is to actually join Barcelona. Marcus Rashford is prepared to wait in order to move to Barcelona. Marcus Rashford has wanted the Barcelona move for quite a few months, maybe 2 years now. He has wanted that move to Barcelona. He dreams of playing for them, and living in Spain really appeals to Marcus Rashford. Something that doesn't appeal to Marcus Rashford is moving to London. So rumours to potentially Chelsea or Arsenal are wide of the mark. Marcus Rashford does not want to live in London, but he would welcome that move to Barcelona immediately if the opportunity arises.
And finally, talkSPORT understands West Ham have rejected a £50 million bid from Tottenham for forward Mohamed Cudis. He reportedly has an £85 million release clause. Do you think Spurs will increase their offer? They don't tend to spend that kind of money on one player. Or could someone else come in for him?
There are numerous Premier League clubs and overseas clubs tracking what happens with Cudis. I reported exclusively about a month ago that Atletico Madrid are among the clubs that are actually interested in signing Cudis. So Atletico Madrid are there and are waiting to hear that situation for Cudis. That initial contact with West Ham was made to explore if Cudis could be on the market. Now, another club, as you mentioned, Tottenham, they had a £50 million bid rejected for Cudis, but they are not the only Premier League club monitoring the situation. He is also subject of interest from Chelsea.
Well, there you have it. Sam, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Let us know your thoughts on all of that transfer news. And remember, the window will be back tomorrow to keep you up to date with the latest rumours, done deals and everything in between.